So hello everyone, my name is Ray. I'm a product manager on the NICE DCV team. So today on the agenda is that, I'm going to very briefly talk about NICE DCV and then, show you what's the quickest way for you to test NICE DCV if you have an AWS account. And if you have AWS account ready, feel free to, follow my steps and try to launch a instance with NICE DCV. I'll show you how. And then we'll dive into, covering the core features, some of the building components, plus at the very end, talk a little bit about pricing and support. NICE DCV, it's a high performance remote display protocol. In the past couple of years, we're really focused a lot of our energy to addressing needs of our M&E customers like you. We think it's a good option for high fidelity remote workstation streaming needs for running anywhere, including on AWS or on premises. And how DCV works is that you just need to install. It's an installable software that on the server side that you install, and it will transmit the pixels from a remote server on any of the public clouds or on-prem to a local client. Again, all we are doing is transferring the pixels, not data. So it's a pretty secure way to offer a remote workstation solution for your customers. As for DCV components, so we have the core components in the yellow box. So we have our server software. As you can see, it's compatible with, we support a lot of different operating systems and Linux distributions. And also on the client side, you can either use a native Windows client, native Mac client, or Linux client, or many of our customers just use a modern web browser to access our web client. Outside of these core DCV software, we also have optional components that, depending on your need, you can use, including the session manager, the connection gateway, and the web client SDK. And we definitely have plans to build more components in the future. And as for our customer base, customers, of course, studios can directly use DCV for remote workstation needs, but DCV can also serve as a pipeline building block for developers. So we see a lot of, especially bigger studios, if they want to have their own in-house solution, they can just integrate DCV into their own solution as a building block to stream the pixels. Of course, DCV is designed for high fidelity creative workflows, including digital content creation, cloud gaming, game development, and because we have had this collaboration feature for many years now, a lot of our customers also use DCV for reviews, whether it be client reviews or supervisor team collaborations. And last year, we published a case study with Netflix. They use DCV right now to build, they have used DCV to build their visual effects studio in the cloud solution. So it's interesting case studies to read. And lastly, just give a brief mention of Amazon Nimble Studio, which is a managed digital content creation service on AWS using DCV as a building block. So in addition to the virtual workstation piece, which is provided by DCV, they also give you additional services like cloud rendering and shared storage. So if you have a small team and you're looking for a managed solution, Nimble Studio is a good choice as well. All right, let me share my web browser to show you quickly how we can easily, launch a test DCV on AWS. If you can see here, it's our download page, which is download.nice-dcv.com. If you go here, you'll have all the components that's all listed here. You can download a native client or download our server software. Everything here is downloadable, and you can just install it anywhere. But we also have some shortcuts for AWS. So if you go to the last box and expand it, you'll see that we have NICE DCV on AWS Marketplace as an option. So we have different kinds of AWS Marketplace AMIs pre-installed, so you can just launch one of those AMIs to easily test DCV. Or today, what I'm going to show you is how to deploy NICE DCV with CloudFormation. So these are, again, like pre-made CloudFormation templates with everything configured already. So if you have an AWS account, it's super simple to launch a CloudFormation stack and get DCV, test DCV. So all I do is I click on the template. It should redirect me to CloudFormation stack. And most of these things are pre-filled already. Of course, you can take this and modify it to your liking, but here I'm just, giving it a stack name, selecting the operating system that I want. I'm just going to go for 2019. And then, there you can, set your password. You can select the instance type. I mean, for digital content creation workloads in general, we recommend you to use a instance that has a GPU. In this case, I think G4DN will be a good choice. So I'm just going to choose, for example, G4DN 4x large. It's a medium-sized instance with a number of GPUs. And everything else is pre-filled, so I'll just select my key pair name and just click on next, next, next until I get to the very end and create stack. And that's it. And I think the process should take about 10 minutes or less. And after that, if you go to your EC2 console, you should see something like this, which is you should have a instance launched with everything configured, including security groups and everything else. If you selected for example, I selected G4DN, then the CloudFormation template will help you to install the right NVIDIA drivers. So really, like, everything is set up correctly, and you can just use it out of the box. And how you use it is that you just, for demo purposes, right, you can just copy either the IP address or the public DNS in the URL, and you'll get something like this. So you have the public DNS and the port number, which by default we use 8443. And of course, you can log in, and I'll just paste in the password. After that, you will get to see your desktop. It's really super easy. And in the interest of time, right, because I want to also talk about a lot of our features. So there's just one thing I want to show you, because I'm using the web browser, but I still want to show you DCV can drive high performance workloads, including high frame rates. So I'm just going to show you a web page that it's just playing a YouTube video. I picked the one that has 60 frames per second. As you can see on the top menu bar, you can see there is a FPS and latency reported here. This is a setting that you can enable from the preference menu. Once you enable that, as you can see now, because I'm not really moving much, right? You see 0 or 2 FPS per second. But as soon as I start playing the video, the FPS will go up because then DCV at that point will send over all the pixels on the screen. So let's see. There we go. So you can see that very easily it reached 60 FPS even on a web browser. And in general, we recommend you to, for digital content creation use cases, especially if you want to have 4K screens, multiple monitor, and like very high FPS, then you should use our native client. But this is just a demo, right? It's very easy to see that you can get that even in a web browser using TCP connection. Okay, very quickly, let's summarize what I just said. There are 3 ways to use it: using the AWS Marketplace AMIs, or CloudFormation template, and of course, manual installation. And we recommend you to manually install DCV to add it to your image if you want to use it in production. Everything can be accessed from the download website, like I just showed you. Okay, let's talk about DCV features, right? In the last couple of years, we have really heavily invested in features for M&E customers in general, including high color accuracy. DCV supports both YUV 420 or YUV 444 with the RGB built to lossless. What this means is that when something begins to move in the screen, the initial pixels DCV sends will either be 420 or 404, depending on your preference. But once the image becomes static, DCV will send a built to lossless pixel that is RGB to give you the truly lossless color. Of course, we recommend, for most use cases, we recommend YUV 420 because it really saves bandwidth. But for those high fidelity use cases like you have, we recommend to enable YUV 444 with RGB built to lossless. And here I can show you a comparison, a heat map comparison of the difference between YUV 444 versus RGB, or YUV 420 versus RGB versus 444 versus RGB. And as you can see here, if we compare the delta E, which is like a standard measurement of the difference between input color and the display color, you can see that 420 you have a average delta of close to 2, which is perceptible to the human eye, versus once you enable YUV 444, you get 0.85, less than 1%, not perceptible by the human eye. And next, DCV, last year we launched a new connection method called Quick, which is a type of UDP transport. So right now for DCV, you can use either Quick or a WebSocket, which is our TCP connection, depending on your office environment. For high frame rate, highly dynamic workloads, we really recommend you to enable Quick. And you can use Quick to drive up to 4K and 60 frames per second. And to compare those two, the main big difference is that if you're considering using a web client, currently UDP is not supported, right? So you can only use TCP. And also we need to be take into consideration of some of the enterprise network requirements that only allow TCP traffic. But otherwise, I would say for your use case, I would default to UDP. In addition to a Quick and color accuracy, we also have Wacom and stylus support. And our stylus redirection support is not through USB. It's a built-in support, and it works with both for Linux OS and for Windows. And for Windows, it works with WinInk-based applications. All the clients, including web clients, are supported. Okay, next is multi-client collaboration. So DCV really, you can use DCV for multiple people to all log in to see the same screen. And not only they'll be able to see it, they can also, you can control the access. So you can give either one or multiple people the permission for a keyboard or mouse or any of the other things. So you can really have fine-grained control of who gets access what. It's very useful for a lot of the review use cases where you have an over-the-shoulder review or doing a presentation to the client. And as I have mentioned in the past, we support 4K resolution and 60 FPS, and we support a wide array of EC2 instance types, including the accelerated instance types with either NVIDIA or AMD GPUs. And on premises, if you want to use DCV, we support hosts with any modern NVIDIA GPU. And oftentimes we get support tickets on customers asking how come I cannot get 4K resolution or cannot get 4K resolution on multiple screens, and we will recommend you to check your NVIDIA or AMD drivers first, because oftentimes the drivers were not installed correctly. Another thing to note is that the NVIDIA gaming driver only supports one 4K monitor, so you have to use the grid driver if you want to have multiple 4K screens. Multi-monitor support, so we support up to 4 monitors using our native client, and for web client, we support up to 2 monitors. But one thing to keep in mind is that a single monitor cannot exceed 4K resolution. Next is adaptive streaming. So DCV, we actually use multiple codecs behind the scenes, and we automatically use different codecs and adapt the compression level based on the available bandwidth and latency and user preference. So you can select either best responsiveness or best quality. And as mentioned before, we automatically update to lossless, to full lossless for the parts that are not changing. And we can leverage NVIDIA and AMD GPUs for encoding and basically any GPU for decoding. Next, for audio, we offer both audio in and audio out. On the Windows side, we support 7.1 surround sound playback and 5.1 surround sound on the Linux side. And last year we launched a accurate audio video synchronization feature, and to reduce the AV sync latency to less than 30 milliseconds right now. Next is peripheral support, right? I'll just quickly fly through these. We support USB redirection on Windows client. We support printing of documents. We support smart card within session. And if you are doing a game development workload or cloud gaming workload, we also support Xbox and DualShock controllers, both wireless and wired modes. And we also support webcam redirection if you want to use it as your full desktop, including for Zoom calls, for example. And here it's worth calling out that the performance is the webcam performance is pretty great because we do not use regular USB redirection. We actually have a native webcam redirection. And next is bandwidth consumption-wise. This is also a frequent question asked by a lot of our customers. How much egress cost, am I expected to pay if I run it on EC2? And here we did some tests, and really depending on your resolution and depending on the use case, right? How much of your screen is constantly moving, you get different bitrate outputs. And here we did some calculation, assuming you're using a G4DN instance, and you can see the cost here. And from everything I just said, I will put these into 2 tables to summarize, so I won't go into them here, but here are the list of features that are important to the end users, in this case, artists. And we also have a summary for the production tech admins. one important thing to call out here is regarding cost, right? DCV is really because we are free to use on AWS, and we have competitive pricing, so it's in many cases can be a good option for customers. And here I've just put out all the things that we have launched since the beginning of last year, and this is really just it goes to show that we are really we're growing, and we're iterating at a very fast pace, and our team is still growing this year, and we have planned to grow next year as well. So you're going to see more and more features delivered. All right. So next session is for the building components that I mentioned earlier. We have a web client SDK that some of our customers use. It is a JavaScript library that lets you to develop your own NICE DCV web browser applications. This is an example where AppStream, which is a managed service on AWS, they have taken this SDK and built their own entire streaming service on top of it, including the UI and everything is different. So this is a way for the builder customers to customize their own solution. We also have a connection gateway, which is another optional installable packages that customers can use to act as a gateway between the hosts and the clients, so you don't expose all your DCV servers out on the internet. And this gateway supports both UDP and TCP connection. So if you're using Quick, you can still use it, and it works both on AWS and on premises. And next, we have a DCV session manager, which provides a way to programmatically create and manage sessions both for on-prem and AWS. And for example, you can set rules to request dynamically create a DCV session on a DCV server that has a GPU utilization that's lower than 30%. And the session manager can do that for you. And of course, some of our customers, they don't want to use DCV out of the box, and they prefer to use a broker service, and that's completely fine. And we have two recommendations for you. One is LeoStream. It's a popular VDI broker gateway product. It supports many protocols, including Teradata P0IP as well. And it works on AWS and on premises. The caveat is that it requires license to use, so you do have to purchase LeoStream licenses. Or the other option is that you can use NICE Engine Frame Views as a DCV session broker. Engine Frame is another product made by NICE. It's very popular for high-performance computing use cases, but we do see other customers using it as well. And as you can see here, it offers a generic broker service that can be used for any use case. And another benefit is that no license is required on AWS. And as you can see here, you can create and manage sessions. You can share it with the other people on your team, and you can also close different sessions. Again, on DCV is free to use on AWS. No license is required. You just either download it, install manually, or use one of our pre-made CloudFormation templates or Marketplace Omnis to test. But if you want to use DCV on premises, you can buy licenses from one of our resellers, and DCV uses RLM as a license manager. So pricing wise, it depends. We have different SKUs. Some are cheaper, some are more expensive with more comprehensive functionalities. And also we have volume discounts and different things. So happy to connect you with one of our resellers if that's what you're thinking about. And support-wise, DCV is covered under AWS support plans. If you use it on AWS, if you use it on-prem, we offer support plans for purchase as well. Okay, all right, that is all